The problem I'm starting to see is how many concepts are coming online. We have smart money concept, liquidity concept, this concept, that's concept, this strategy. And the problem is that I'm seeing these concepts become more complicated, but I'm not seeing the quality of trading improve. And that is why I want to go over this concept of LTAs. This is one concept that I use, and it's a very simple concept, and it doesn't even have to be called a concept because it's based on price action trading, and it's something fundamental that you guys must understand. I have made a video in the past on this, but in this video I want to go into depth and explain to you why I believe that this concept is very useful for your trading and should be 100% implemented into your trading. And if you do implement this simple concept, you should see great results, and it should help clarify your trading, because again, trading should be to make profits in the easiest way possible, and adding complicated variables to the market is just making our already difficult challenge even harder, which is not going to help you guys become profitable or develop a strategy that will give you an edge in the market to be able to succeed. So with that being said, let's get straight into the video and cover about LTAs, go into depth, how to use them on the time frame, how to validate them. So if you're returning here, this will be a useful video. If you're new here as well, you're also going to find this useful, so I'll catch you there. Alright, so when you look at this chart here, I can see plenty of LTAs on this chart, but for you guys who are new, you're probably not going to be seeing these LTAs, but for those returning, you will be seeing those LTAs, but you'll be wondering, okay, which ones should I use and which ones are going to be valid? So all of that we're going to clear up. We're going to cover how to use these LTAs and more importantly what they are as well for the people joining. So if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I hope you can find this content useful and enjoy what is on here. There's plenty of very useful content. I'm also doing a giveaway. If you check my last video prior to this one, you can have all information about that. And apart from that, there are groups down below which you can join to keep updated, see the analysis, ask questions, and just be a part of. I would highly recommend it. If we could do that, push the likes really hard past 100, I would really do appreciate that. I hate saying it, but it does work and it does help get this video out to people. So, you know, it's a cheesy thing on YouTube, but it has to be done, right, guys? So LTAs, what is an actual LTA? Well, LTA stands for low traffic area. I don't know who made the name. I did not make that name. It's something that price action traders have noticed on the charts and has been passed down. It's kind of like the bench press. Think about the bench press in the gym. Your friend might teach you a bench press, a coach might teach you a bench press, but they're not the ones who teach the bench press. But there's certain things that, you know, the way that someone teaches you how to bench press makes a huge difference, because some people will teach you wrong. Some people won't know what they're talking about, and some people essentially won't be showing you the right things or telling you how to use it properly, or you might never even learn it. So when it comes to LTAs, they stand for low traffic areas, and essentially all they do is they're basically clean candle areas. So if we've seen a move on the chart and it looks something like this, going down up, for example, or we see something going down looking like this, these are LTAs. Both of these situations here are both LTA situations. Why are they both LTA situations? Because the move down here is clean candles. There's been nothing obstructing the candles from moving cleanly. So alternatively, if I was to draw you something that wouldn't be an LTA, is if we saw something like this, where we had possibly here, let's say we were coming down, this candle moved back. Well, I'm drawing the opposite way around, but let me just do this nice and clearly here. So let's say we were moving down like this, right? So we're coming down, and then we see a candle move up like this. Well, that's badly drawn. See a candle move up like this. The next candle moves down like this. And then we see a small pullback like this. And then we get a candle moving down to continue the move. And boom, what a dump we had. Big candle like this. Now, an LTA would not be this zone right here. This will not be an LTA anymore. Here will not be an LTA, here will not be, because these are not clean candles. These are creating a resistance here, a support is being created here, another resistance. So this is not a clean area, and we don't particularly want to take our trades in this area, because if we're taking buys, for example, here on a bullish candle closure, we don't know when it's going to reject. So this makes this zone invalid to trade, and we need to wait to trade around these zones, not in these zones. So essentially what we need to look for is let's say we're taking buys from here. This clean candle all the way up here is now an LTA, because Why is it an LTA? Because the move down was, there was no obstruction. But here there was a problem, we rejected. Here there was a problem, we rejected. We also rejected here. So on the way up, we might have the same reaction. And that's why we don't know essentially what will happen at those zones. So we can't consider them an LTA. Now, the focus of this video I want to make is basically how to identify LTAs and use them relative to the time frames that you are trading, right? Because I made a last video, but people were asking, can we have an updated version where you talk about how to validate them and how to use them relative to the time frame you're using, right? So if you have been following me for a while, you know that I show price action trading, and I have multiple videos explaining how to do top-down analysis. Now, if you're coming here and don't know how to do top-down analysis, you have to understand that when we're trading, we have to trade and analyze from the higher time frame. So essentially, if we have LTAs on the higher time frame, something like this on a move down, or something alternatively here to get this zone filled from here to here, these are essentially become LTAs. And why is this an LTA? Well, if you look here, you can see that, one sec, let me bring my drawing tools back up. Well, if you look here, this is a clean candle move. So if we're getting closures below, we can expect this zone to be filled at least to this, in this support here. And this is why, because on the way up, this was not a problem, and on the way down, it wasn't a problem. But around these support areas, we had issues, and only till we close below is when we get the move. So that is how you analyze from the higher time frames. You need to see where's your LTAs on the higher time frame. LTAs become very powerful when you use them to trade in your zone. So we know we're not all trading the daily, we're not trading the 4-hour, but it's important to check where you are on the 4-hour and where you are on the daily, because if you're trading somewhere here, for example, maybe this is not the best area to be taking sells until we get the close below. Because if we get a close below that zone, which is what I always teach you guys, the close below, looking left here, we have these clean candles here, and these clean candles should be able to give us the move to fill this zone. And once we fill this zone, we need closures below here to fill this zone down here. And this is what gives us the zone to zone trading, is because it's replicating the move. We had no issues moving up here, and then we had no issues moving down here, and that's what we expect. But the mistake people make is they think that every LTA they can take a buy and every LTA they can take a sell. For example, we had an LTA up here. They're like, oh, I'm gonna buy price all the way back up here. First of all, look at trend. You have to consider trend. Is trend bearish? Then you're probably not going to retrace the whole move until trend reverses and we get a reversal and trend changes back to the upside. You see daily candles closing bullish, 4-hour candles closing bullish, then this LTA is not going to be filled. But a key information that I'm going to tell you now is that, first of all, LTAs are not news candles. So if a news candle has created a candle like this from news, it's not considered an LTA, and you have to watch what's behind these levels here. You have to see what's behind this, because that is the relevant candles. This candle was caused by news, it is not by general market movement, so we can't trust it in the future. So that's one mistake. But as I said, LTAs become very, very useful when it comes to your trading time frame. So let's take an example of this week of how we could have utilized LTAs, and I'm going to show you. So first of all, we can identify we have a support here. Price is now, we want price to get below the support so we can utilize this LTA on the 4-hour time frame. But I know most people, including me, don't trade the 4-hour time frame for entries. We look at the lower time frame for entries. So if we go down to, let's say, a 30-minute to keep things simple, we can see here, fair, we have this support here. Next to this support, we have this clean zone here to the left. So that becomes our trading zone. So we know we should be able to maximize this zone here because it's an LTA. Now, this is another thing that I didn't cover before, which I will cover now, is if this zone is from 4 or 5 months ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, it's not going to be as relevant as this, which was just made a couple of days ago, right? This was about 10 days ago, this zone was made. Fast forward 10 days later, we're back into the zone, filling the zone. So it's a lot more relevant. And the most relevant LTAs are actually zones that are made prior to your session or the previous day. Those will be the best LTAs to trade. So as an example, as a previous in your session, let's say we were, as an example, we were here, right, looking for sells. What do we see? We see this candle here created an LTA for us, created resistance. We have that to fill in our session. You see that? That filled that LTA. Why was it an LTA? Because simply you can see here that there was clean candles on the way up. We created a resistance, clean move on the way down. So that was created in our session, which makes it more valid than if it was created 6 months ago. If it was created 6 months ago, it's not going to be as relevant because economic conditions were different at that time and it was a different market condition. So let's go have a look at this zone exactly here. So now we can look, how we're going to maximize this LTA here on the left, right? So we can see this zone is here. It's a nice zone that we can possibly trade in. Now what happens here is this is CPI actually. See, these 2 wicks here is CPI. And if you remember, see, this was the 12th of January. And if you look at 1730, that was CPI. So you can disregard this whole section of the chart because this is not valid. Why is it not valid? Because it's CPI. So what we establish here is, and CPI is a news event if you don't know, and trading and news, it's a lot of uncertainty. So we've created a support here. If we look left, we have a clean LTA here to the left, which is going to be valid to fill. So all we need is we need to follow one of the price action setups that I have a video on. I'll link it above here somewhere. And we can see once we get the close below this zone here. Remember, 4 hours also has an LTA. Look where my position is. Position is maximizing this move as well. And if you go down now to the 15-minute where we're looking for our entry, where's our next support going to be? Well, our take profit is going to be somewhere in this support in here. This whole area here is going to be the take profit. And if you look what happens, we take the lower end. Eventually we hit the take profit after some low volume over Asian session, but that LTA zone gets filled. Now if you use that same concept in high volume times, for example, if we come here, we have to this zone down here, and then we have another LTA all the way till down here. So where's your LTAs on the chart? Your LTA is going to be, let me bring my drawing tool. Your LTA is going to be from here to here and from here to here, because these are clean candles. So when we're taking sells, we want to be selling in these two zones. So if we go now to the charts and have a look at what opportunities we have to sell, because if you see between these zones, look at the inconsistency. You will see the inconsistencies in the chart between. At the zone range, this is where you guys lose trades. When we close below the zone, if I make this a bit more accurate and actually put it on the support was here like this, right? We have a close below the zone, right? So range before, but then when we have the LTA to the left to fill here, you can see when we get the close below, it's a clean move. Similar thing here. Look at this. Let me zoom in nice and clear so you guys can see. Close below, LTA gets filled. Now what? Now we create this low here. Now it pulls back, and essentially what happens? This creates another LTA here. This becomes an LTA, but remember, we're bearish. We're looking for sells only. Why are we looking for sells? Because the trend is bearish. People are like, oh, LTA created, I'm going to take buys to fill this. It's not a good idea if you're on a bearish trend, right? But this LTA created, then what happens is we create a support here. Once we create a support, we need something to break that support so we can take sells. This candle breaks the support. Now we have this zone to fill, because that's where your entry is going to be. LTA gets filled. When it reaches the support, inconsistent again. You understand? And it goes zone to zone, and that is how LTAs are used. And this concept you need to apply into your trading and be trading in these zones of clean candles. If you don't trade in these zones of clean candles, you're going to be stuck in moves like this. You're going to be stuck in moves like this. And this is where you're going to find your inconsistencies and lose trades. Because if you look at trading, you have to realize what is my highest probability and what is my statistics to win. And that also matters in where you're trading in the chart. Because if you notice, I lose mostly trading in a range. Well, you want to reduce trading in a range. But if you don't know what type of zone you're trading in, you'll never be able to identify that, and you won't identify where your losses are taken. So for me, when I'm trading at support or resistances, that's where you see a lot of inconsistencies compared to trading in LTA zones. So that's what I wanted to make this video on. I hope it has helped you guys and given you a deeper understanding of how to use the higher time frame into the lower time frame to identify the zones, to be able to take trades, and how those zones can even develop in a session. They don't necessarily have to be in the past. They can develop in a session and become very, very useful. So with that being said, guys, take care, trade sharp, and until next time, peace.